A high-stakes legal battle in the heart of London. Did the threat of £1 million lawsuit make you doubt your decision to protect those children? Welcome to the London broadcast tapes. Tonight we pull back the velvet curtains of Chelsea to reveal a story captured by a lens that wasn't supposed to be there.
Before we dive into this investigation, please support our mission by hitting the subscribe button and turning on notifications.
Today I am joined by Elena, a professional nanny who worked for one of the most influential families in London until she...
Elena, welcome to the studio. You were highly recommended for this role in Chelsea. How did the Sterling family present themselves when you first met them?
Thank you, Sarah. They were the picture of British high society. Mr. Sterling is a hedge fund manager and they live in a stunning townhouse. Yeah. You were hired to care for their 2 young daughters. At what point did you start feeling that the atmosphere in that house was not as charming as it appeared? It was the silence, Sarah. The children were too quiet, almost fearful. And then there were the rules, pages and... Did you witness any direct mistreatment that pushed you to take action? When I asked Mrs. Sterling, she got cold feet and told me to mind my own business or I would be fired and blacklisted. Blacklisted in Chelsea, a career-ending threat. This is when you decided to plant the hidden cameras. How did you manage to do it without being caught?
I used a high-definition camera disguised as a common USB charger in the playroom. It was discreet and sat on a shelf where it could open.
A discrete lens in a common object. For how many days did you record their interactions before you gathered enough evidence to speak up?
I recorded for 3 days. What I saw on those tapes broke my heart. It wasn't physical harm, but the constant
Emotional neglect and cold isolation can leave deeper scars than anything else. What was the most distressing moment you captured on that hidden device?
The most difficult part was watching the parents ignore the children's basic emotional needs. They would sit in the same room. Isolation is used as a method of control in a wealthy home. Did you find it challenging to maintain your professional role while knowing the truth about their parenting style?
It was incredibly hard. I had to remain polite while seeing how the children were being discouraged from expressing any joy. A very brave step to take. Once you had documented these patterns of behaviour, what was your next move to protect those boys?
I contacted a family welfare advocate in London. I shared the data to get a professional opinion on how to address such a high-pressure environment.
Seeking expert guidance before taking a major risk. What did the advocate suggest regarding the strict rules and the isolation you had documented?
The advocate was concerned, noting the lack of social development for the children was a serious issue. They suggested I raise the matter formally.
Going through official channels first, did you feel that the agency would take your observations seriously, given the Sterling's high social standing? I was doubtful. Agencies often prioritise their high-paying clients. However, having the recorded evidence, a strategic move. When you presented your concerns about the extreme isolation to the agency, how did they respond to a professional nanny's feedback?
The agency manager was dismissive at first. He told me that elite families have unique ways of maintaining discipline. It was clear
a systemic barrier. This indifference must have been frustrating. Is this when you realised that the recorded data was your only real weapon?
I told the manager that I had documented evidence of the psychological pressure being applied in that home. His entire attitude changed the moment I mentioned the proof.
Like the power of evidence. How did the family react when the agency informed them that their private household patterns were being questioned? The reaction from the Sterlings was cold and immediate. They didn't apologise. Instead, they threatened me with legal action for breach of privacy. Threats of legal action to protect a reputation. Elena, you were now in a direct confrontation with a powerful Chelsea family. What was your next step to ensure you weren't silenced?
I knew I couldn't fight them alone. I leaked a small, non-sensitive part of the recording to a trusted family law expert.
And a calculated move to gain professional backing. How did the Sterlings react when they realised you had legal support and weren't going to back down easily?
Their lawyers sent me a formal cease and desist letter within 24 hours. They accused me of industrial espionage and threatened to sue me for millions.
A high-stakes legal battle in the heart of London. Did the threat of £1 million lawsuit make you doubt your decision to protect those children?
For a moment, yes. I am just a nanny and they have endless resources. But then I remembered the silence in that house.
Conscience over fear. What was the turning point that finally broke the Sterling's wall of arrogance and forced them to negotiate? The family law expert I consulted reached out to the local authority's social services. When an official inquiry was launched, the fear of public exposure. Did they attempt to settle the matter privately with the local authorities to avoid a public scandal? They tried to argue that their methods were based on a specific educational philosophy. But the evidence clearly showed a lack of emotions, a mandatory intervention. Elena, this was a massive victory against a system designed to protect the powerful. How did this email us? The Sterlings immediately terminated my contract as I expected. They tried to claim I had breached my non-disclosure agreement. However, a landmark legal stance. Did the agency that originally hired you support you, or did they distance themselves from the controversy?
The agency was forced to admit its failure in vetting the household environment properly. They didn't support me publicly, but they couldn't blacklist me either.
Validation from the authorities. After the mandatory counselling began, did you see any real improvement in the children's daily lives and their emotional state?
Togas. I kept in touch with a former staff member who remained in the house. She told me the atmosphere had shifted. The parents were now under... The silence was finally broken. Elena, many would say you risked your entire career for these children. Do you have any regrets about the way you handled the situation?
Not a single regret. I may have lost a high-paying job in Chelsea, but I gained something far more valuable. Peace of mind. A truly selfless act. What happened to your professional reputation? Did other families in London hesitate to hire a nanny who had exposed her previous employers? Initially, it was quiet. But then a few high-profile families who value transparency and genuine care reached out, turning a challenge into a badge of honour. As we move toward the conclusion, Elena, what is the ultimate lesson you've learned from this experience about the hidden lives of London's elite?
The ultimate lesson is that wealth can buy a beautiful house, but it doesn't guarantee a healthy home. Behind those grand facades in Chelsea.
A profound observation. Do you think the local authorities in London are doing enough to monitor the conditions of domestic staff and the welfare of children in these private estates? There is still a long way to go. The privacy of high-income households often acts as a shield against scrutiny. Courage is contagious. Elena, thank you for being that voice and for reminding us that the welfare of the next generation is worth every risk. It was an honour to be here, Sarah. I hope this helps even one person realise that they have the power to change a child's life for the better. Elena's story reminds us that silence is often the biggest enemy of justice. What happens in the quietest corners of our city matters.
If this conversation resonated with you, please consider joining our community. Your support allows us to bring these hidden truths to light. Awareness is a collective responsibility. Every share of this video could be a lifeline for someone currently working in a difficult environment.
Please share this story on your social media. Let's make sure these stories of courage don't stay in the shadows. We've explored the hidden cameras of Chelsea tonight, but many more stories are waiting to be told across this vast city. We are committed to being the platform where the unheard are finally given a microphone. If you have a story to tell, or if you know someone who has stood up for what is right, reach out to us. Next week, we investigate a different kind of mystery, one that will take us from the high streets to the historic docks of London.
Don't forget to like this video before you go. It helps the YouTube algorithm show this to people who care about social justice.
Thank you for your comments and your ongoing engagement. We read every single one of them. Stay vigilant, stay compassionate, and remember that sometimes a single lens can change everything. I'm Sarah, and this has been the London Broadcast Tapes. A special thank you once again to Elena for her time and her bravery. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Good night, London.